I want to start off by saying Jonas and Tucker are talking about a topic we discussed this morning, of course, but going into much more detail. Why is Ori and how is Ori pioneering the passkey and the introduction of techniques that create passwordless login? And this is a big part of the Ori network platform, and I think it'll be interesting to see it demonstrated here and have the discussion. So thank you, Jonas and Tucker. Good luck.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tucker MacLean here. This is my 4th week with Ori, so I'm kind of a newbie, and I'm over from California. Happy to be here in Munich. Last time I was here was in 1989, quite a while ago, and it's really lovely to be back. Really quick about me, before joining Ori, I spent a little over 6 years at Okta, so I've kind of been living and breathing the identity space since 2017, and it gets more exciting, more interesting every day.
Yeah, and my name is Jonas Hungershausen. I'm a software engineer at Ori for, I think, a year and a half almost. Some of you may have seen me in the community Slack, and I've been mostly working on the identities side of things and obviously the Ori network itself.
So we are really excited to take the next 20 plus minutes to get into passwordless, but before we do that, and it's been alluded to throughout the day today, we wanted to do a little walk down history lane on the history of passwords. So 1960 was when the concept of a username and password first started getting utilized at MIT. I'm sure everyone's very well aware of MIT. And only a year later, the first known breach of a username and password took place. For all of you that were here for Bill's keynote earlier this afternoon, which was fantastic, huge kudos to Bill. I didn't ask the question because I'm pretty sure the answer is already known. He talked about the first computer system he ever got exposure to, which was in 1961, was a computer used to shoot down intercontinental ballistic missiles, IBMs, or maybe to fire ICBMs. And I think we should all be existentially grateful that that computer was not hidden behind a username and password. Only 1 year later, there was a software defect that exposed usernames and passwords. So kind of a rough early history for usernames and passwords. Here we are not even 3 years into the existence of something that was intended to secure and protect our use of technology and computers, and already we've learned that both due to users as well as software, usernames and passwords are insecure. So they're not really doing a great job so far. Moving along, 10 years later, we've got hackers, essentially organized crime, that are busting into usernames and passwords. So, you know, again, we're seeing a checkered kind of history here. Almost another 10 years after that, the National Bureau of Standards, presently known as NIST, created the first standard for encryption. And I think it was, 56 bits, so it wasn't very secure, definitely not secure for modern applications, but it did have a pretty profound impact on the advancement and evolution of cryptology. So, and then, almost 20 years later, we're nearing on the millennium, year 2000, we finally get CAPTCHA, and I don't know if anyone knew what that stood for, completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. Fascinating. That was created to delineate what is a user, a human, versus a computer. I'm curious, anyone in the audience want to volunteer? What was the first application in the very early 2000s that made broad use of CAPTCHA? Just holler it out if you know. Elon Musk was involved. PayPal, 2001, first commercial use of CAPTCHA. All right, extra credit. Who is the CTO, co-founder of PayPal, brilliant engineer from Ukraine, who actually was the one that decided to use CAPTCHA within the application user and registration process? Max Levchin. Did I pronounce it right? I think I did. Okay. Why do passwords suck? I'll give everyone a minute to take a look at this. And I think it's amazingly ironic that Robert Morris had 3 golden rules to ensure computer security. Don't own one, don't use it, don't power it on. Robert Morris is a brilliant mathematician and computer scientist trained at Harvard. He spent a little over a quarter century at Bell Labs, now known as Nokia Bell Labs. Very renowned for first helping create the Unix operating system, but more importantly, with respect to usernames and passwords, he developed the technique to hash passwords. And so even with hashed passwords, he's telling us, if you want to secure computers, don't use them. Kind of ironic. Okay, over the last 20 years, we have trained everyone to use passwords that are really hard for us to remember, really frustrating, and I have 2 parents in their 80s, and they call me all the time. I'm tech support all the time because they're creating complex passwords, which frankly computers can guess. It's easy for them, but they always forget it. So like they're trying to secure themselves, they're not helping themselves, and they're not really helping the computers either. So why do passwords suck? Easy for computers, hard for humans, phishable, and I guess very importantly, they don't verify your identity. Fixing passwords. So password managers first created in around 95 and 1995, started getting popularized in the early 2000s. So here we are after 20 years of password managers, they're still not secure. So we've now gone over 60 years using usernames and passwords, and we're still not secure. That's a long time. So enter passkeys, and I'm going to turn it over to my brilliant colleague here.
Yeah, thank you. The time for passkeys is now, but what are they? So they are in everyone's mouth, they're everywhere in the news, and so what actually are they? So in short, they're a digital credential type meant to completely replace the password. And for that to be possible, there are lots of standards involved, and and they are based on the WebAuthn Web Standard as published by the W3C. So this is this has already been in the making for a couple of years now. And the Passkeys initiative is largely driven by the FIDO Alliance, which is an alliance of multiple companies, and just to name a few, it's Google, Amazon, nowadays even TikTok and Visa, and so really huge companies with lots of attention on them and lots of money involved as well. And they have an incentive to really push this forward. And bonus, they are already supported by a really wide range of devices, just because this standard has been in the making for a couple of years, I think 10 years now. And on a more technical level, what does it look like? We have a standard and a protocol that generates unique credentials. These credentials do not need to be stored on the server, which is a huge plus compared to passwords, because the password still needs to be stored somewhere in the server and then verified, even if it's encrypted and hashed and salted and whatnot. It's still, the source is still on the server somewhere. And if you use an insecure encryption algorithm, for example, a hashing algorithm, then that could be leaked and reverse engineered or brute forced to get the original password back. And this is not possible here because the whole thing is based on the public key cryptography. And additionally, they are bound to the origin by design, so you can't. The credential itself is unique, and it's bound to your website. So even if it's leaked somehow, users or attackers can't use this to log into a different website that the same user may be registered to. So password reuse and also phishing is very, very difficult with this, just because if I send you a fake Netflix link or a fake banking link, for example, the platform wouldn't even offer you to log in with your credentials there. And yeah, and what makes these so easy to use for even non-technical users is that they are already synchronized across devices. This is the passkey add-on to the WebAuthn protocol. And Apple, for example, makes it very easy to store this passkey in your keychain and then have it available on the Mac, on different Macs, on your iPhone, on your tablet, and whatever. And Google has been hard at work there as well, and they also have synchronization mechanisms here. And as of, I think, a couple of weeks ago, even Bitwarden and other password managers have native support for this, so you can even store your passkey in your current password manager, because let's face it, passwords are not going anywhere right now. They're going to be around for a little longer, so we still need to use those password managers as well, and integration with them is pretty great, I think. All right, and now we have a demo. I will try to do this live. I have a backup prepared, just to show you how this would look like in the real world. And I'm obviously using the Ori network here. Let me just, no. This is already showing the updated account experience, so that's a sneak peek for you. That's gonna be coming soon. And yeah, we will start with the sign-up process. This looks very familiar, I'm sure, except that you don't have a password anymore. That's the whole point, right? So I still put in my email address here, and I can give it a name just to make it easier to identify it later. And sometimes that still happens. Demo gods. Let me just retry that. Yeah, and what we see here is the native pop-up from Google Chrome here. So this is the passkey side of it. I get a summary of what I'm trying to do. So in this case, I'm being shown the web page I'm actually signing up for, and then also the actual credential that I'm creating here. And if I click continue, I'm prompted to put in my Touch ID here. This would be Face ID on an iPhone, for example, or Windows Hello even on Windows devices. And so if I confirm this, then the registration goes through, and I'm logged in. Now, that's very easy. And this is obviously just a demo, so nothing fancy going on here, just to show we have a few metadata here, a bit of metadata here.
Can I just ask maybe a show of hands? Anyone here have a Palm Pilot or maybe like a Nokia flip phone? All right, because passkeys will not work with those, but I guarantee every device in this room will work with this technology.
Yeah, every device most likely has support for this already, which is the great thing. All right, and just to complete the demo, this is what recurring users would see. So this is a very simple sign-up or sign-in form now. I just added the OIDC connection as well, just to maybe showcase how this would look like in the real world. But if I want to do a passkey, then I just click here, and I immediately see a list of all the credentials I have for this web page. So obviously, in a real-world example, most users would only have one account for this page, but it's also possible to have multiple accounts as well. But then I already see the credential that I created, and I can select it from the list. I'm again prompted for the Touch ID here, and if I confirm that, I'm logged in again. And it's really that easy and works on pretty much all devices. And now, yeah, maybe a question? Yes, that could happen. Because if you have access to the Google account and and your Google account is not secured properly, then an attacker could obviously log in and then have the synchronized password, have it synchronized. But, and that's what we're coming now to, wait, no. Google already supports passkeys for their account, like for the consumer accounts as well. So you can also use passkeys to secure that as well, which makes your Google account more secure and pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say uncompromisable, but at least it's much harder now to log into that account.
My 82-year-old father, I actually just set him up with Google last week, and it was a little tricky because somehow he'd signed up with for a Google account with his literally old Microsoft Exchange email, but we were able to get it sorted out. So he's actually now using passkeys, and at first he was frustrated. Within a couple hours, he's like, oh my God, this is really intuitive. And I'm like, there you go. Most of us have probably been using Google Passkeys all year, but it's now the standard as of literally last month.
Yeah, and as you can see, Amazon is also rolling it out for their shopping apps, so the consumer apps. TikTok is on there. TikTok is, as I mentioned, part of the FIDO Alliance as well. And this just showcases that they also take security seriously and also captures the younger generation here in an attempt to make passkeys more widely used.
I mean, I don't know what the numbers of TikTok users under the age of 15 are, but it's probably in the hundreds of millions, if not already billions. So our younger generation of technology users are already getting well-versed and trained on this new technology. So all the hardware supports it. The younger generation is getting used to it. We're training the older generation to use it, and they're finding it a lot easier. Now we just need to get all the applications using it.
Yeah, and finally, of course, Ori Network already supported WebAuthn since 2021. We are making continuous improvements to the experience, and enabling it in your Ori Network project is as easy as flipping one switch, and you're good to go. And now, time for some questions. Yeah.
Thank you for presentation. My question is, can I use passkeys to authenticate in a console session?
Well, when can we do that? Yeah, I think
I have to pull up some experts on to answer that question.
I think we definitely want to do that. Question is when?
Yeah, the answer is soon. And if you want to know why not now, it has to do with WebAuthn being a broad standard that we also use for multi-factor authentication in YubiKeys. And what we're doing right now is allowing you, like the NIST standard around this is a bit complex around what is allowed and considered multi-factor for real. And there is some work in progress in detangling this so that you can use a WebAuthn passkey as first factor and still have the ability to use YubiKeys as second factor, and we have to do this without breaking accounts. So it just takes a little bit longer, but you'll have it very soon.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot for the presentation. I have a question regarding the lost devices. If a user, let's say, doesn't use any passkey provider like Google or Apple, whatever, how do you maybe tackle this problem? Because the keys are binded to device, right, in this case?
Yeah, exactly. So in our network, we have a backup method for this, which is email OTPs. So you still provide an email address, obviously, at the registration, and like you most likely would have this probably in all applications somehow. And you can send or you can enable the email OTP method for that, and then the user is able to log in using just a one-time code, just as a fallback. Because yes, that's a very real concern that their users or your users can lock themselves out as well if they lose the passkey, for example, and that's like you need a backup solution for that. And we have developed the email OTP for that. In this case. And then obviously, if the user has set up maybe some OIDC social sign-in connections, then that also can be used for login as well.
In your example, you didn't even have like a password field or the option to provide a password. How do you migrate users away from password to like passkeys, for example?
Yeah, exactly. Or the more likely scenario, obviously, is that you have still the password and support for password. And one thing that the platform provides for that is that you can provide autofill. So if the user clicks into the field of the email, I can't show it right now, unfortunately, but if they click into that field, then they already get prompted with the accounts that they registered. So you can have both and make it usable for both sides. And then if someone doesn't have a passkey, for example, then they would just use the password field as normal, the password form. Thank you.